apply for a permit. Now when you read that, transfer of ownership, that could mean a father or mother giving the property to their children, okay? Then you go down here, okay, and you say, so they got to apply for a permit. You have an exempt well, now all of a sudden we regulate, now you got a permit. But then you go down here to section 3, permits based on managed available groundwater. Flip over here. In accordance with section 36.1132 Water Code, the district shall, to the extent possible, shall issue permits up to the point that the total volume of groundwater permitted equals the managed available groundwater. If administratively completed, permit applications are subject to the district, if administratively complete, permit applications are submitted to the district. The district may not issue any permit or grant any new permit application if granting the requested application will cause the district to exceed the managed available groundwater. Now, David, you've told us many times that what's our current acre plan? 3,800 acre feet, and we are 2,000 feet above it. So, had the previous district, it had Representative Rose carried this and got it, they would be able to tell people no more wells for you, your family, or anybody else, and that's what I want to protect. Everybody has a right to at least a little bit. I agree with Mr. Gaines. I like to control those rights, although I think the public water suppliers like Dripping Springs Water and Wimberley Water need to be protected because obviously they don't own a bunch of land, but their CCNs are pretty large, so I think it would be okay. But this is what they wanted to do, and this is what I'm trying to stop. It has nothing to do with big pumpers, anything like that. It's just protecting the little guy who's had a pretty hard road to hoe.
Well, in that legislation didn't go anywhere, as you know, and nothing like that is going to happen. 98% of the wells that are out here are exempt. So the small portion that we do regulate are really these big, the larger pumpers. And I think that understanding that this large DFC that we've adopted, this 30-foot decline, is going to hurt the small land.
Barton Springs and Blanco also adopted. There was 9 members on the board and only 1 voted against it. I thought the other 8 were all in agreement that it was the most prudent management tactic.
I do not agree with that. I think it's going to hurt the small landowners and the people who have wells now, and it's going to require us to give that water to those bigger pumpers, and it's not going to protect the small folks because that water is, as we all know, we saw the drought, lived through several droughts here. That's what we're managing for is the drought. It's, when it's raining and everything's flush, there's not a problem. It's just when we get into these drought times, and if we've over allocated, there's no, we can ask the larger pumpers to cut back, but it's the small folks who are going to get hurt by this larger.
What about the small folks in the CCNs of these large pumpers? What about that? Will they get any water?
Well,
they're going to get hurt.
I think that everybody that's dependent on groundwater, and that's a bunch of people in this county, the majority of them, are going to be better served by a more conservative DFC. And I think that adopting this vested language is going to cause more litigation towards the district. I don't think it's going to protect the folks that already are exempt to drill a well. And as our legislation is now, pretty much anybody who has a platted lot can drill a well, and there's not anything that stops somebody from doing that, as long as they have the means to pay for it.
Well, that would be invested interest then.
Well, it's an ownership interest. The problem with vested is that it becomes a constitutional issue, and then that becomes basically makes the district, not have the authority to be able to set any.
You mentioned earlier, every property owner has a vested right to capture groundwater. That came out of your mouth.
Well, they have an ownership right to be able to capture groundwater.
It's not a vested right, is what you said.
Well, if I said that, I meant an ownership right. Everybody has ownership right to drill a well, but I guess it's just there's so much in the cup that is available, and allocating that fairly and equitably is really our main job. We're only managing 2% of the whole thing. So, I think we should be careful what we ask for, and, you know, I understand, you know, that you want something that says, hey, I can do this, it's my land, and I respect that. I respect that everybody has a right to have clean water in their home. There's nobody that should be denied that right. But as a board, trying to come up with policies that equitably allocate that is very challenging.
You just gotta remember that there's no equitable allocation of water now. Everybody knows the Wimberley Valley is far more water than northern Hayes County. I mean, it's just the way it is. I own property in Blanco County, and I get 1 gallon a minute if I'm lucky. I mean, I don't think we're guaranteeing anybody water. We can't, we don't know whether it's down there or not. We're just guaranteeing a right. You can go down there and see if you can get some. It's really no different than if you have a mineral right, then no one's guaranteed you have oil in property. It's just saying that we won't deny you the right to try and get water. Because, some of these people who live out, in the farther reaches of the county, they have no hope of having surface water in their lifetime.
Well, there's nothing that we would do that would ever deny that, but it's in these areas where we've got wells that are clustered together too close. And the key for management is well spacing, and that's the main way to manage the aquifer levels and to have appropriate well spacing. And if we put them on 1 acre lots or half acre lots, we'll see depletions in those areas where some people will be without water.
But all the 1 acre lots are already platted. It's a done deal. Now what's the new subdivision ordinance? 6 acres, right? So, that was a pretty big fight too. So,
Can I jump in for a second?
please.
Just so everybody here understands, the drawdown is 19 feet in Hayes County. It's not 30 feet. It's an average over the whole GMA 9. Ours in Hayes County is 19 feet. That's just a fact. We went through the GMA 9 process. We'll talk about that more at our next meeting. The other is, after this got put on an agenda to have this meeting, I talked to some other groundwater districts, talked to Blanco County Groundwater District, and they have signed this identical resolution. And I asked him, how did they do that? And did everybody sign it? And he said, yes, all their board members signed it. And I was surprised, but they did. And I asked him how he felt about some of these issues being vested. He said his board saw no problem with vesting it because it already says in chapter 36 that you can't divest somebody. So if you can't divest them, then they should already be vested. It doesn't say in chapter 36 vested, it just says the groundwater district won't divest somebody. So in their mind, if you couldn't divest them, then they're already vested, so what is wrong with vesting them now? And after hearing that logic, it made sense to me. That it looks like you're trying to just clean up some issues that lawyers would say divested doesn't mean you were vested, but in my mind, if I read something that says that, it means you already were vested because you can't divest it. So it doesn't bother me. This draft resolution, I don't think is going to hurt us at all. I think it's going to just clarify some things. I'm not sure why our lawyer doesn't like it, but he doesn't. And he sent me the same form that Mr. Baker told me about. When he heard it was coming up on our agenda, he sent it to me and said, read it. You really don't want to vest people. Once they're vested, that means they can get it, the water. I'm like, right, that's a good thing, right? That they can get the water. No, you still want it to be kind of iffy. So if it's iffy, then we can make sure they don't take the water. And I felt like, I just assume make it a simple thing that we all know that. It doesn't mean you can take all the water. It doesn't mean I can go out there and drill a well and just pump it all because it's mine. It still says in here, groundwater that can be produced by a property owner to be limited, we still have the right to limit it. That's the right we have now. That's what we do now. We had somebody come in and want 950 acre feet. The board agreed on 250 acre feet. So there's still that give and take. Being vested or not vested, to me, what does it matter? It's vested, let's vest it, that's fine. And that's all, that's my whole argument. Blanco County doing it, there's a lady on Blanco County, Colleen Gardner. She is very much wanting to make sure we don't waste water. She studied it and she okayed it. Per what they said, they had a vote of 5-0. I felt good about that. I felt that if she thought it was a good thing, there's nothing wrong with this. And it does concern me that our lawyer doesn't like it. But when you look at what he's trying to do, it looks like we're just trying to say you're sort of vested, almost, kind of, but we don't want to say the word, because as soon as we say you're vested, then that means you can have it and we can't argue about it. And I'd rather argue about how much you're getting instead of if you can get it. I think everybody here has a right to drill a well. You come to Henley, you may drill a well, and you may not find any water. I'm sorry, that's not my fault that you can't find water on your property. But it's your right to look for water, and if you can find it, you can sure use it for beneficial use. So I'm okay with the vested part.
We'll make a motion, or we'll talk about some more? Max?
Are there any other people that would like to speak on this, now that you've heard us speak? I'm going to give you 2 minutes instead of 3.
My name is John Goff, to speak. Just a couple things. The hypocrisy of this board is just overwhelming. Where do you rent office space?
Center
What's
Lake
the name of the
Business,
place you rent office space?
Center Lake Business Park.
Okay, do you have a permit for the well where you rent office space? No, you don't. You guys rent office space in a place that has a non-permitted well. That's number one. Everybody in this room needs to know that. That's very hypocritical. Secondly, we elect you and we fund you with our taxpayer dollars to make decisions. This attorney does not make policy for this board. If this board is not going to make policy, if we're going to pawn it off to some attorney at $300 or $400 an hour, let's just elect an attorney. That infuriates me that this board doesn't have the stones to come up with your own resolution. That's ridiculous that we're paying that sack of garbage to make this resolution for us. You're elected to do the job, so do it.
We didn't pay for this.
Anybody else?
You paid for the attorney's one.
Enough. Anybody else?
We don't like the attorney's one. We agree with you, we don't like the one the attorney brings up.
2 minutes, please. State your name.
My name is Bill Davis, I live in Forms today, California. I'm a property owner in the area, and I am a little familiar with Mr. Ellis's position, and I disagree with it. He's lost that position in court more than once, and I heard a number of things that wasn't part of the agenda resolution, but I just want to hit them real quick if I can. The resolution that's here does not create a preference for new users over historical users. There's no distinction between historical and new users. So the claim that creates preference for new users is just fear-mongering, first of all. Next of all, the Supreme Court case right now, EAA versus Day, was actually provoked by the district's current attorney. That's before the Supreme Court, and he lost it in the lower court, and he's the one that's appealed it. So he's got ego at stake in this, and he's trying to win everywhere he can, even if it's not in the courtroom. There is the interest that's being discussed at the legislative level and at the Supreme Court isn't ownership in place. That's not true at all. It's about an ownership interest in the water. There's a huge difference. You don't own a specific molecule so that when it drains off somewhere else, you get compensated or you claim a tax deduction for a loss. You have an ownership interest in the water, and that is what's being discussed as to what extent that ownership interest is. And finally, anyone that wants to claim you don't have a vested right is really someone that wants to make sure that you can't be compensated for when it's taken away. And that's what this is about, is to force the groundwater district and future groundwater districts to recognize that there is a vested ownership right that's been set forth in the Texas Real Property Rights Preservation Act. It's been case law for 100 years before that. And that's what and it's because of the actions of a few groundwater districts, mainly the ones that Mr. Ellis represents, that have prompted this in the first place. That's what's provoked this legislature. Excuse me. And so anyone that says that they're going to protect historical users, I'd say the historical users need to be watching out if they're going to say, well, you don't have invested writing, because that means you're going to take it away from you too. So I support this resolution. Thank you very much.
This resolution, we didn't pay for it. He sent it to us, I think it's one he sent to other groundwater districts, because I didn't order it, and I'm not paying for it. Just so everybody knows.
So your attorney is not gonna set policy for this board, that's what I want an answer on.
Not when I'm here.
Okay,
No, I mean, he just,
just so we're clear.
no, he sent this to me
Just so we're clear.
and said, please read this. This is a resolution that I've drafted for other districts. But no, I didn't call him and say, please, in this draft resolution right here, Mr. Key presented it. I don't think he paid anybody for it either. I think he got it off of Farm Bureau website or something. But this is, as far as I know, I know I'm not in charge of the money, but I can, if I see a bill for this, it won't be paid.
And as far as the permit, that's on the to-do list. Some problems the last several months, a few things to work through. I want to make a motion to approve the resolution that was submitted.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? 3-1. And do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
We are now adjourned. Next meeting, okay?
No, I must come to the next one.
All right, 7:35, we're reconvening the Hayes Creek Groundwater Conservation District meeting. Item 5, District 2012, budget for Hayes County grant funding. Rick.
Part of your packet includes, well, I believe it's very well thought out financial information for the board. It includes the final 2009, the final 2010, the budgeted for 2011, anticipated 2011, and a proposal A and a proposal B for 2012. The main difference, if you look on item line 7, is the Hayes County awards. You look at row D, it was 125, as everyone knows, and it anticipated, and of course, 125 again. The proposal would be an increase of either 165 or 185. The wells, the non-exempts, or the connections and the exempts, has stayed about the same. So we stayed with about 50 wells each, $30,000. These proposals are a little bit more heavy in science than they have been in recent, this past year. There's also an emphasis on insurance for the staff members that hasn't existed in great detail in the past, but I present it to the board.
Rick, AHB is Albert Hospice, right? AHB down to, oh, Bacchus. Oh, Bacchus? Okay.
Mike's.
What did you say?
AHB expenses right there. I want you to know what stuff.
Was that it?
If it was for Al, we should have
Zero
zero.
the first page.
We should have some money in there for you guys. Al, I'm with it.
Right now, all we're doing is a preliminary budget, preliminary to get, to go ask, turn something into the county and ask, we're gonna be asking for $185,000.
It's just my proposal.
Rick, you had mentioned some time back, as far as miles and mileage, you had mentioned that, we needed something a little, a vehicle a little more substantial than what the two of you all have as far as going down Ranch Road.
It's not addressed in this proposal.
It isn't, as far as a car or truck rental, once or twice, a couple days a month, or do you have any, is that something like that? This would be a good time to start thinking about it.
You know, we're not really doing the budget right now, we're just getting an idea. We have to let Hayes County know what we're gonna ask for this year. I'd like to make a motion, we ask for $185,000.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
The one thing that you don't have anything allocated in there for the redistricting. Are we,
It's gonna be this year, if you look at 2011 anticipated, there's $5,000.
all right. Got it.
Any other comments? All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Passes 5-0. All right, item 6, completing the audit letter 2009-2010. Could you please read out the names of those that have not completed this form?
As far as my knowledge, with his signature, this board has completed, well, the 2010 board has completed their.
All right, what about the 2009 board?
I have not received confirmation from our auditor of 3 of the 5.
And you'll follow up on that, let us know next month? All right. Anything else on that? Any comments on that? All right, item 7, redistricting committee update. Myself, Mark Key, and Tressie